All right, today we're going to go ahead and show you how to collect data and then display data using a list view. So I'm going to quickly go ahead and add a button. I'm going to go ahead and a label, and then probably need a little help with layouts. We're going to give myself a horizontal and then a way to collect data, and we're going to go ahead with a text box. So we're going to go ahead and put the text box inside the vertical or horizontal. We're going to take the text label and drop that in there. I'm going to go ahead and move it up, and we'll just have our button at the bottom. I'm going to quickly just do a little work here. This label, we're going to go ahead and we'll just default it to collect someone's name. And they're going to go ahead and type that in. So we change that to name. But over here, I always stress it is so important to quickly rename the components. So we'll go ahead and rename this using camel case. Start with lowercase, no spaces, and then second or third word is always capitalized. So we'll call that the name label. And then this is my text box. We're going to rename this simply as name text box. We rename them. Our button, we're going to rename to this, and we're going to just call it collect button. We're going to change the text very quickly on our button, and we'll call that collect info. And there it is. So I just quickly set up my designer, my user interface to take this. One last thing, though, that we probably need to add is our list view. So we'll go ahead. I'm not going to rename that because I'm only going to have one, and it's just a place for us to see the list. We're going to go ahead over to the block side now. And our control is going to be our button. That's what we need to find, our collect button. When collect button is clicked, well, what do we want it to do? But before we even get there, we probably need to create an empty list somewhere to store the name. So we're going to initialize a global variable. We're going to call it name, and then we'll say entry because this is what's happening. We need a list, and we're going to go ahead and create that empty list. So I am going to break this down into sort of procedures. I'm going to have an add info, and I'm going to go ahead and create a display info. These are going to be two procedures that I end up working. I can actually just put in these calls right in here. So when the collect button is clicked, we want to add info, and we're going to go ahead and display info. So to add info, what we want to do here is we want to add to a list. So we're going to go ahead to lists, add item to a list. Which list do we want to call it? We want to call it the only one we have so far. We're going to go ahead and we want to add it to our name entry list. And the item that we're going to go ahead is to collect from the name text box. So we're going to go ahead, and the item we're going to get is the info in the name text box, and that is going to be the text. So again, we're going to add to our name list the information that was typed into the text box in text form. Because we're typing in here, we probably want to clear it out. We're going to go ahead to our name text box. We're going to set our name text box text to blank after we're done, so it's ready to grab the next piece of information or the information from the next person. To display the information, it might be we're going to have another variable. Whenever we're displaying, we need to sort of have a data list. So we need a list to sort of keep everything, well, somewhere to put it, I guess. So we created that empty list. So we're going to go ahead and work on displaying this information. So we're going to just redo this one more time. We're going to go ahead, set this global data list. We're going to set it to an empty list. And then we're going to use a for loop. If we remember those, it kind of tells us where we're going to start, how much, and are we skipping anything? That's that by statement. So we're going to change it for each, instead of number, we're going to say index. We'll change it to it. And in this particular case, the only piece of data we're collecting is the name entry. So we'll go to our variables. We'll go ahead and get name entries. So basically, we're starting at slot 1 in our list. We're going to go to the total number of global name entries we have, and we're going to go by ones. We're not going to skip any. And so what we'll end up doing here is we will begin to look at adding items from the list. All right, so we're going to add items to the list. What list are we adding it to? We're going to be going ahead and adding it to our global data list. The items that we're going to do, we're going to be joining a couple here. So we're going to go ahead with our text join. We're going to go ahead and join, if I'm not mistaken here. Let's see here. Here we go. Select list item. And from what list? Oh, here we go. Come on to Papa. There we go. Excellente. So the list that we are going to be selecting from is the global name entry. So we'll go ahead to our variables. We're going to go ahead and get our global data name entry. And from the index, so we keep getting it and it's still in order. I'll just duplicate the variable and I'll change this to index. The index is the spot on the list that we want. Now, if we were to add more pieces, like maybe I took the class period, maybe I took the gender, maybe I took the time, etc., we could add and join more of these. A lot of times we're going to go ahead and have to put a space between the data. You can type with your space bar, add spaces. You could add a semicolon. You could put a backslash, whatever you'd like. The one last thing, in order to sort of display it, you would have to go to your list view and you would have to set your list view elements to, and you want it to sort of display. So we're going to go ahead. We have to display which list. We go to our variables. We'll go ahead and get, and we want to do, again, that data list. We want to go ahead and show the world all the data we collected. Hopefully that helps and walks you through on how to collect data and then display data. Good luck